Okay guys, this is the setup for my UV DLP printer, the electronics part at least. And as you can see, I got a megatronics version 3 from RepRap World and some stepper drivers. We only need 2 for this setup and 2 stepper motors. These are some other stepper drivers. They're for Pololu. Now these particular ones won't work because they're old ones, but RepRapWorld.com assured me that all their stepper drivers work on this board, so you should have no problem. The only thing with these old drivers that do work still, that are on right now, and these are that they don't go on the same way. So instead of that way, these go this way. So just be careful with that when you get these new stepper drivers. They are better. They can have more current go through them. They're better. They don't get that hot also. So I'm waiting for some new ones from RepRap World. These came off my old ones, old printers I've laying around, and I'm going with these right now. So I'm showing you, this is my power supply. I tweaked the power supply so it stays on. It's a little, you can YouTube that how to do this. So I have my 12 volts going in there, and if I measure it when it's turned on, it says 12 volts on those 2 screws there. Then you know you have current going to it. So next we have a little USB cord. These are some end stops. There are 2 ways you can solder these, and I'll show you later. It doesn't matter how you solder it, because you can change it in the firmware. Right now I have it set up that I have to change it in the firmware, and I'll show you guys a little later on. We chose this board because who knows, later in the future we can add a monitor, like a LCD screen to this, and make it all standalone by itself. Right now we need the computer and we need a projector, but just for testing purposes I'm using my monitor. It's HDMI for better quality, just for testing purposes. So here you go, this is the setup. All of this you can buy at reprapworld.com. Very friendly people. And now I'm switching over to the computer. One more thing, let me just put a little close-up on the end stops. What I have right now is the X minus. You can see it from here, the X minus and the Z minus. And if you look on the side there, you'll see that there's a plus, a minus, and an S, and I'm using the S and the minus. So because if you have the plus and the minus, you short out the board. So just make sure you have that incorrectly. So the S and the minus. Okay, we're going to the computer now. Okay, right now we're on the computer. I have a few things set up already, a few websites, and I'll explain you a few things on the way, and by a few minutes you'll be up and running if you follow these steps correctly. So I have some websites open: the RepRap World, the Arduino, and a website where we get a lot of information from, and you should check out this site because there's a lot of good stuff on it. But let's start with the Arduino board. this Arduino board um, was a little bit easier to set up than the previous boards, because when I plug in my USB, Windows recognized it and installed the drivers automatically. Before that, we had to do it differently. We had to install the drivers manually, but now it's pretty easy. So I'm plugging in my USB right now for the Megatronics version 3. So here's what happens. It says here, installing device driver software. When you click on it, you'll see it's searching the database for uh, Windows updates, where the drivers are. And if everything goes well, it'll just find it. Right now we are hooked onto the internet, so it's downloading, ready to use, and we're good to go. So the driver is installed correctly for this board. It was that easy, just plug and play. So we can close this now. Now we need the Arduino software, because we want to load our firmware on this, which we'll download after the Arduino. So this is the arduino.cc is the main page. Right there we can download the free IDE software that comes, that's ideal for this. So right now I click download, and if I'm not mistaken, we're just gonna look for the newest one. So download, which one it is, something like this, Windows installer. Here we go. So as you can see, it's downloading. I'm using Google Chrome. I think it's a lot quicker than that annoying Internet Explorer. So we're just gonna wait. And right now, I'm gonna press pause until it's finished. So the download is finished, and now I'll just go and install it. Here we go. Of course, you need administrative rights to install this. It is how you call it? Open source, I believe. So you don't need a special license to do this. Here we go. We're just gonna install it where it wants to. Goes pretty quickly, unless you have a really slow computer. I think it's taken a long time. Come on. Right now I'm using a pretty clean computer. I mean, if you have a lot of junk on your computer, maybe it's best just to clean up your computer before anything. Would you like to install this device software? Just click install. Always trust Arduino, it's okay. Bye. Come on. Here we go. So now if I minimize this, you'll see I have Arduino. It's there. Okay, so if we open Arduino, you get a little window. Now we need the firmware to put on the board. So basically we're going to go back to the website. I'm going to close this one, we don't need it anymore. and right now we're going to reprapworld.com. Now reprapworld.com has all the firmware inside, so I'm just gonna look up my board which I got from them, and it's the megatronics. I got this one. I ordered everything. Okay, this is the board I have, and right here we have a few things. We have a data sheet, very nice to look through all the things, but we also have a test firmware, and it's pretty cool just to try out the test firmware. But then what happens is the motor starts spinning, the LEDs start flashing, just to show you that your board is working. You can load this one on, or you can just do what I'm doing right now. So we're doing the source files right now. It already downloaded the firmware. We're gonna open it. Oh no, that's not the firmware. The firmware is down here, I think. Oh, see the download section. Here we go. So my mistake. We're gonna go to support, software downloads, and then here we have a little download section, and I want to get the megatronics. Yeah, the Marlin is the most popular firmware currently available, blah blah blah. I need the megatronics. There we go. A little bigger. So I'm gonna extract the files on my desktop. Go. Okay. Extract. Here we go. Close that. I'll minimize this again. And now I have my megatronics firmware. I'll place that right underneath there. Yeah. So right now we need to open it. You can do it two ways. You can go either in here, then the Marlin, and then you'll see the Marlin, or you can go here. Excuse for the Dutch. This is the Dutch version of Arduino. So the stump means file, and then we open the board, and we'll go to the desktop, and we look up megatronics, Marlin, and then we need the INO file, I believe it is. But anyways, it's this one. Open it. Now you have two windows. I think it's annoying. I closed the other one. Here we go. So all these tabs plus a whole lot more is the whole firmware. It even goes down from here with a pin chart and stuff. I'm not gonna go too far. All I'm gonna do here is go to the configuration H, and this firmware is actually for a regular 3D printer with a hot nozzle and these things. But if you see on this list, these are all the boards you can just choose. So if you have a different board, like the ramps or another one, then you can just quickly in this page change it. Right now I'm having the Megatronics version 3. That's 703. 703 is correct. If I had another version, let's say this one, Megatronics version 2, I would put in and change it like this. That's it. Then all the pins would be correct and everything. But right now we have the version 3 of Megatronics. So this is good. We scroll down a little bit more, and what I noticed was that I couldn't just turn off the temperature settings, so I left them on, and I turned, here we go, the minimum temperature. We bring all of this to 0, because if you don't, the motors won't run, because it's on a safety that everything, it thinks the temperature is too low to even move the motors. So going down, I changed a few more things. We passed all of this, and a little further. Okay, here we come to the end, the end stops. Now remember, I told you my end stops were wrong and I needed to change them. If I had soldered them differently, these would be good. But right now, I'm gonna change them. The X, because I have mine on the X minus and the Z minus. I'm gonna invert them basically by typing false. So now I have the end stops in control. Then we go down a little bit more. Oh yes, here you can change the direction of the motors, but you can also just turn around your plug and then it would work also. So if the motors are spinning the wrong way, you can change it there, or you can go manually. We go down a little bit more. It's getting late here, so excuse me, I'm not reading too fast. Go down more. Okay, here we go. Now this is when you're homing, basically when you're bringing your board to the right place for the first time. How fast do you want it to go? So I just wanted to go a little fast, so I put 200 for everything. Basically, this is X, this is Y, this is Z, and this is E if you have an extruder, but we don't. We're only going to use X and Z. But because I just like to change everything, so I'm going to put everything the same speed. Even the E, even though we don't need it. There we go. Now here, this is the access steps per unit. Basically, the homing and the steps per unit is later on what you'll be tweaking. When you say in the software later on, you want something to move so much centimeters, and you're only getting 1 centimeter instead of 5, for instance, then you need to crank this up by 5. So we're gonna change all of these, and I'll put everything to 50 because I just want them to be a little slow. 50, and the Z 50, and the E also 50. Remember, this was a firmware for a regular 3D printer, and right now we're experimenting with the electronics, so maybe we should crank it up. I'll put 500. That's a 50. So now, maximum feed rate, I'm gonna change it to 500. We'll see what happens. But these are the numbers you're gonna play with later on. And These I'm also gonna put to 500. Okay, max acceleration, put 5,000, I guess, and 5,050, and 5,000. There we go. The rest we leave alone. Oh yes, this was also something I did. Remember, we're gonna be tweaking these things afterwards. I have no idea what this is, but I don't care. This is how I get it to work. So basically these two, this is where you're gonna be working on the most. This is basically where I'm gonna leave it for now, so I can change it on later. But right now I'm gonna save it. Oh yes, this little icon means that you didn't save your progress yet. I'm gonna save it. Opslaan is in Dutch for save. So we're just gonna save. And now I wanna bring this to my board. Basically, first check if the board is on the right one. It needs to be this one. Arduino Mega 2560. Basically the chip that's on the megatronics version 3. And then the serial port, in my case it's 3. In your case it can be COM5 or COM7 or COM4, but you'll notice pretty quickly with that one. So everything seems to be alright. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna check my configuration. It's compiling the sketch basically. See if everything is cool. And then I upload it to the board. Now basically you'll see on the board, you'll see a lot of blinking, and I'll make a little video. See if I can put it in to this video. So basically I'm gonna start uploading now. There we go, click. It's compiling again. And then you'll basically see the upload on the board. Here we go. It's uploading. As you can see here, it's a pretty sizable firmware. But again, if we're gonna later on make LCDs and this and that, you'll need the space on the board. That's why I went for the megatronics version 3. It's almost done. And boom. Now you have your new firmware on your megatronics version 3. So what we do right now, we can minimize this because we're gonna later on work with this, but it's more for when you have the full printer in operation to go and tweak these things. So you can actually save it and close this. I'm gonna minimize it so I can change the settings later. And basically I'm going to go now to this website here, build your own SLA, because I get the software that's gonna run this board from there. So I'm gonna open the software. Here we go, creation workshop, and this one. And we're going to download the creation workshop. Goes pretty quickly, not a big program. There we go. We extract all the files on the desktop. Okay. Extract. Done already. I'm gonna minimize this again. And here we got our software. I'm gonna double click on it. This is the link to open the software. So here we go. We need administrative rights apparently again. So this is the software. I have my Arduino plugged in and my HDMI. There we go. And basically when I turn on and connect this, it says cannot connect to the printer driver on COM58. So I'm gonna close this again and I'm gonna open up what I believe is machines, default as SLA, and then I'm gonna change this to my COM port, and my COM is 3, so that should all be good. Right now I'm gonna save this and close this. Right now if we go again here, we open this, and I connect. You see it's opening up also the display, but I'll show you the settings later. I'm just gonna close that for now. So we have this, and right now you can see the device is connected. So it basically automatically connected, but now it's connecting to COM3 instead of 58. So that's what you do to get it up and going. Basically, there's a few other settings that I wanted to change. This is the settings button, basically configuration. Here I can see if my separate drivers are working, but I first want to put which display I'm going to use for my display. And display 2 is my HDMI. I apply it. Basically, if I connect again, my HDMI TV is now turned black for the instead of the window I have right now. Okay, so we are connected. This 3000 millimeters per minute is a bit too fast for me. I'm just going to change it to 100. And now I'm going to test the motors. So I'm going to try incorporate it with the video I'm making now. So I'm pressing the X 10 millimeters. It just needs to reset. There we go. Pressing the Z 10 millimeters up. Okay, I had a little issue, but I just forgot that I need to turn on my power supply. Whoop, I thought there was something wrong. Now the power supply is on. I'm gonna press that up again. Can you see? It's moving. And that was basically 10 millimeters was 500 steps per unit. On 500 steps per unit, that's how much it moved. So if I change that to double, it will move twice as much, basically. So like that, you can tweak your motors. and I'll show you the X is moving the same speed. If I turn up this to 400 millimeters per minute, you'll see my battery is exhausted, but you'll see basically it goes 4 times as fast. Let me pause this and charge my battery. So while my battery is charging for my camera, I'm going to show you a few other settings. In machine, you can show how big your area is that you're going to print on. We're going to try build one this size. If I hit apply, you see it automatically turns off the thing to readjust things. But if I go here, you can see it turned a lot bigger. Now we're gonna go further with the configuration, and here you can make your own profile. I would suggest that and try different things. I have not built a UV DLP printer yet, but this is how we're gonna test it. In the slicing, here you can put how thick you want the slices. So for testing, right now I'm gonna put 0.1 millimeters. Exposure time, this is milliseconds. We're gonna just crank it up a bit, 3000, and first 3 layers I want also 3000. Let's take off this for a second. We're gonna auto calculate again. Here we go. This doesn't seem right, but yeah, auto calculate this again and you press apply, and now basically we're pretty much ready to go. So what needs to happen? You need a STL file and you need to open one, and now I don't have one. I'm gonna find one, open up a new tab, let's say Thingiverse, very famous website, and we'll just download anything, something small preferably, maybe this, it's cute. Here we go, cuddling owls, and download this thing. Here we go, on one file, and we're downloading it. It's a pretty big file. I don't think I want this big file. Cancel. I want a small file. Something simple. Here we go, the sword. You can download this thing. This one, the sword. Small. Here we go, iron sword. I'm gonna put this on my desktop. Paste it here. Down there. Opa. What did I do? I think my HDMI was messing around there. So here we go. I have my iron sword. I'm gonna go back here in creation workshop and open up our STL file. Open. It's kind of big, and hopefully it'll fit. Seems like it's right out. So I have to minimize it or rotate it. I think I'll just rotate the object. The X. No, not the X. The Y. No, not the Y. The Z. And I want to rotate it for 45. There we go. Now place it in the middle. Seems about right. Maybe I can move it. Well, it's fitting. So here we go. Put it there. It fits. Okay, so now we gotta slice it. Basically right here. Let's slice. Let's slice it. Here it tells you which configuration you're using in the setup bar, which is good. The one choosing right now. And here we can see the slices. So these are going to be the slices that it's doing. Okay, but right now I'm going to go back here. On my monitor it's showing me the images. Basically those images. It's showing me on the monitor, which in the UV DLP printer is going to be the projected. Okay, I'm going to pause this and get my camera out. So there's one more thing I wanted to show you. It's still printing the other thing. Let me stop it. I'm gonna disconnect the printer, and in settings you have these three tabs. In the slicing one you also have a G code. In the G code, this is what happens in the beginning. Now I wanted my motors to go until they hit the end stops, so right here I would put G28. And if you slice the whole project again, it would actually first try to hit the end stops, and then it will continue with the print. So good luck with your project, and that's that. Okay, here we have our setup. Now, no need to continue there, but we're gonna continue here. And right now I'm just gonna press on the connect button. It'll connect everything. My monitor is showing black, and I'm gonna press play button. Go. So now it's playing and also showing me different images. And that'll continue until the print is finished. Okay, I wish you good luck.